Hello everyone, it's Melitza. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about exams. I know, ew. I'm going to give you guys some tips, tricks, ways to prepare so that you could really ace them, and let's just get into it. Okay, part one. Alright, so I know this is super preachy, but you really should not cram. So if you did end up cramming for this semester, here's some strategies for next semester to have a less stressful, more effective exam time. So first of all, you should spread out your studying evenly, and you should do that in a few different ways. Firstly, you should look at the different topics. Then you should also try and distribute your time. So studying for like an hour a day in a subject. I know it kind of sounds like a lot, but trust me, you have an hour a day. In fact, as soon as this video is finished, turn off YouTube and go study for an hour. And you'll find that it's so much easier to keep up with your work when you're just putting in an hour a day. You get a lot more done by the time exams start, and you are less stressed because you've been reviewing this for so long. For this, I recommend to start studying for exams about a month before they start. I know it sounds like a lot, but you will see the difference. Trust me, especially in subjects that you're having trouble with. If you got a bad mark on a midterm, trust me, hope is not lost. If you put in the work, if you're motivated enough, you can fix your grades. And next, when you actually are studying, use effective study techniques. So apply the knowledge rather than just trying to memorize everything. So now let's get to the cram period. So I'm gonna say this is like 2 to 3 days before your exam. At this point, even if you have been studying for kind of distributed studying up until that point, I still think that it is useful to increase your study time. Of course, there is a limit. Don't overwork yourself, because if you are tired on the day of your exam, then what's the point? You know, you're not going to do nearly as well as if you're well rested. The night before an exam, do not stay up late. That week leading up to the exam, you want to fix your sleep schedule. In fact, I'll be putting out a video soon about how you could do this. You never want to stay up late or pull an all-nighter, like especially don't pull an all-nighter before an exam, because imagine trying to run a marathon, but the day before just running a marathon for fun. Another thing to keep in mind during the exam period is to make sure you're eating at least somewhat healthy. I find for me, it's so easy to just fall into just eating random snacks instead of like actually eating like a good meal. And snacking is fine. In fact, I think it should be encouraged because your brain needs a lot of sugar when studying and when learning. So don't limit yourself from those. But what I do recommend is trying to put some like healthier snacks. And finally, if you're having issues staying motivated, I have a whole video that actually came out last week talking about this. I'll even link it in the description below. Let's talk about retention time for memory. So this is a little thing I learned in psychology. I'll put a picture up here of what I'm going to be talking about. So retention time basically is how long and what percent of what you learn you retain. When you repeat the content once, after one day, you've already forgotten 40% of it. If on that one day you repeat it, so you're at 60% retention, you repeat it, then in 2 days, you'll be back to 60%. And then if you repeat it a third time, then after 3 days, you'll be back to 60%. And if you repeat it a fourth time, then you're gonna have like 90% of that knowledge. And that is why it's so important to start studying so much, like so far ahead, you know? Even if you do cram, everything that you learned, you will forget 40% of that on the exam. Okay, now since I'm blind, I'm gonna put on my glasses and I'm gonna take you through my exam study notion from last semester. So last year, third year, second semester, I actually only had 2 exams, so immunology and metabolism. This was my plan. I had like 2 weeks basically of nothing just to study, which is an unheard of thing for me, at least. Like I used to have like, you know, I would learn something one day and then 2 days later is the exam, which is ridiculous. I don't know why they do that, but this is just what I had. I had an extra week to study, and this is how I split it up. So I split up, I had a lot less, I guess, content to cover in metabolism. And so for immunology, whereas I'd take like 3 days to do 1 repetition, in metabolism, I just needed to do 1 day. I made a table to record when I actually repeated these things. So I had 10 lectures to go through, 10 to 20 for immunology. And for each of these lectures, I wrote down when I initially learned it, I guess, like when I the first time I had gone over the notes again, so in the study period. Then my first repetition after that, second repetition, third repetition. And I also wrote down like where I was at. So I had listened, took notes, and there's also memorized, read textbook, etc. And as for comments, I kind of like just for me to keep track so I would know. For lecture minutes, this was just a way for me to look back, like if I wasn't sure about a lecture, which ones I should prioritize, and how many I could realistically listen to in a day. Then I did the exact same thing with metabolism. Again, I had way fewer. I had only 4 lectures. Yeah, and then finally, this was kind of like an example of an hourly day. So I decided to study metabolism, I guess, before lunch, then I had lunch, and then I had my class, and then I studied metabolism again. And this is just ways that you can keep organized. So I'm going to be putting this template, this Notion template, in the description below, so feel free to use that. So before I go, I want to ask you guys a few questions. Firstly, how do you study for exams? Do you find that your study strategies are effective, or what are some of the most effective things you've found that you do? Do you guys have any ideas for quick exam snacks? Do you have any examples of how you organize your time or your lectures? Feel free to leave this in the description. No, not in the description. Feel free to leave any of these in the comments down below. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.